we have the part of the tape located? All right. Mr. Cochran?
Thank you. Let me show you another portion of the tape. This is when you're downstairs in one of those rooms. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. About
Tape-
3.
See, the tape is at 2:50 p.m.
All right. Thank you, Adam. And that would be 3:50. Is that right?
Well, no, the tape,
Okay.
just say what the tape reflects.
No, I'm just asking him, Your Honor. That was the next question.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I want you to stop right there. Do you see? Can you zoom in on it? Can you zoom in on that particular table there? Somebody's placed a glove on that table. Do you see that?
Sustain.
Well,
Phrase the
is it-
question.
when you shot this particular shot at about, according to the tape, 2:50 on 6/13/94, you saw a glove there at that point. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that glove hadn't been picked up or seized or anything, had it? It was just like that, right?
Right.
And you just shot it,
Exactly.
right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Do you know whether or not that glove was seized and taken into police custody at some point after that?
No, I don't.
I'm asking.
Overruled.
Do you know?
No, I don't.
All right. But you did take a shot of that. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, I did.
And that was part of what you were doing as you went about your job of shooting any and everything that you saw that was out, right?
That's right.
And if the socks had been out when you were up there in that bedroom, you would have shot those two, right?
That's correct.
You didn't shoot them because they weren't there.
Overruled.
You didn't shoot them because they weren't there when you were up there, right?
No,
Socks.
sir. No, I didn't.
May I have just a second, Your Honor?
Yes.
With regard to that, the glove that was there, did some police officer say anything to you about that glove?
No. No, sir.
And you only saw this one glove at that location?
Yes.
All right. Do you know how it got there?
No, I don't.
Was Detective Harrow in and around there at the time?
I think he was.
Did somebody tell you specifically to take a photograph, take the video of that glove?
Overruled goes to the instructions he was given.
Not specifically.
And as I recall your testimony from cross-examination, you never saw Mr. Fung with any bags upstairs, right? You saw bags in the house, is that right? That's your testimony?
From time to time, I saw him with his tools that he works with. It might have been some bags. I don't know.
But you don't recall, do you?
Not really.
Because when you're shooting the video, you're looking in the camera, is that
Yes,
correct?
I am.
All right. Thank you very kindly, Your
Mr. Darden?
Just a couple of minutes. How many times can you say that you didn't see the socks, Mr. Ford? You didn't see the socks, right?
That's correct.
Okay, jeez.
That's 11.
Yeah, that's not 11, that's 21. Mr. Ford, you didn't videotape the glove found outside, the one found on the south side of the house. Is that correct?
Overruled. You didn't photograph any socks outside, did you? I mean, gloves outside.
That's correct.
Okay. And the socks that you've seen in the photograph, do you know how much those socks cost?
Sustain. That's irrelevant.
You didn't videotape the blood on the driveway?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And when you were videotaping the area near the glove, there's a lamp next to that glove, correct?
That's correct.
Does that appear to be an expensive lamp to you?
Yes, sir.
Overruled.
Yes, sir.
Tiffany lamp?
I don't know what it's called, but pretty lamp.
Crystal?
Was it made out of crystal?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Expensive pieces of crystal, I'm told. You notice any expensive pieces?
Sustain.
Did
Sustain.
you notice any expensive pieces of crystal on that lamp? Right? Did you?
Do you know anything about Tiffany lamps, Council?
Me?
It looked like a nice lamp. We'll leave it
Yes.
at that.
Okay, all right. And the glove you saw there, was that an Eris isotoner glove?
I don't know.
Did you notice that the glove was a large and not an extra large?
Didn't enter my mind.
Did you see the mate to that glove?
No, sir.
You don't know how that glove got there, do you?
No, sir.
And you don't know who owned that glove, do you?
No.
Did you think it was unusual that there be a glove there? Only one glove, rather, there?
No.
And just so it's clear, there are crystal objects directly next to the glove in the video also, right? Or do you call that?
I don't know. Yeah, there's some objects there. It looks like crystal.
Council, I think the jury saw the videotape for a significant period of time, and they know what was on that end table at the end of the couch.
I'll stop it, please.
One last question here. Mr. Ford, are you aware that Detective Looper took that glove from Mr. Simpson's closet? Well,
Sustained. Sustained.
may I seek to rephrase it?
He testified he has no idea how it got there. Sustained.
May I ask one other
Sustained.
question in that regard?
You can call Detective Looper if you
We'll
want.
call Looper? All right, we'll call Looper. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Anything else?
No,
Thank you. All right. Mr. Ford,
Thank you.
thank you. All right. You have a nice day. Yes, let's get our next witness down here, though. All right. All right, Mr. Cochran, Mr. Shapiro, Mr. Darden, Ms. Clark. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you just to step back into the jury room for a few moments, and I need to take up something out of your presence on the record. All right, the jury has withdrawn from the courtroom. Apparently, we have a dispute as to the order of the witnesses and who's ready to do what. Next witness that the defense wishes to call is Ms. Guarin, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. I'd like to call Mr. Guarin to the stand, and what I would like to point out to the court is that we have indicated to the prosecution much better than they ever did for us, Your Honor, the number of witnesses we expected to call. In the course of our trying our case the way we want to, we give them the names of the witnesses. If we opt not to call a particular witness, then we take that witness off. We give them enough witnesses to the more than enough, much more than what we got. With regard to Gigi Guarin, she's been on the list, and she is now necessitated because of Your Honor's inclination to push Dr. Reeder's back and Ms. Martz and Agent Martz. If that happens, I asked Mr. Douglas to go and try to line up some witnesses that we were not going to call today.
Is Agent Martz available?
This is Mr. Blazer's order of proof. He'll have to decide the way he wants to do that. But I'm just indicating to the court that, based upon Your Honor's ruling, I think you've said many, many times we have a right to call our witnesses in the order that we want to. And so I've had Mr. Douglas rummaging around trying to find witnesses. And at this point, I understand that we brought Gigi Guarin in. We had her come in immediately. I understand that Police Officer Muldorfer is in the building. And if I can inquire for a moment, I will talk to Mr. Douglas about who else is there.
Your Honor, just an hour
Hold on,
ago.
hold on.
And we're going to get Detective Tom Lang, and we're trying to get Detective Harrow, and I imagine Detective Looper. So if we can get those, we can fill out the day. But it's necessitated by virtue of the fact that the court, Mr. Blazer, is supposed to be up moving with witnesses at this point. And so now because we don't want to waste time in this case, we're trying to use fill-in witnesses that we expect to call later on in the case at this point. And as the court can tell, that many of them are police officers, and the court knows they have some relevant testimony. They will not be long. But as to whether or not some of the other witnesses, I just want to point out to the court, we've told the people, we've given them the notice, and we are moving ahead. Now, if we decide not to call a particular witness on a particular day, I'll always tell them that. And I just want to point out to this court again, just briefly, that about 2 weeks ago, before the people rested, Mr. Darden stood in this court and gave me a list of 5 so-called domestic discord witnesses. Ms. Clark came down and said, we're not calling any more of those witnesses. We didn't cry or run off, and we didn't make a big hubbub about that, Your Honor. We just moved on. And that's all I'm asking to do. I want to put these witnesses on and move on. The problem we're having is if we're not able to call readers tomorrow, is we're going to be out of these so-called, civilian witnesses we would otherwise call. And I just want to make that court aware of that.
All right, Mr. Darden.
Your Honor, just an hour ago, Mr. Cochran told us that they wanted Detective Muldorfer down here. I sent my clerk upstairs to get the file on Muldorfer and Mraz and that whole mess. Now they're telling us they don't want her here. Detective Muldorfer has been in this courthouse waiting to testify for Mr. Cochran for 3 days, Your Honor.
No, Mr. Cochran just said that he was going to get to Muldorfer probably after Guarin, is what I just heard.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've heard that 6 or 7 times a day for the past 3 days, and so has Detective Muldorfer. In addition, they gave us a list that included Ernesto Rivas and Scott Matsuda from West Tech, Dale St. John, and a whole slew of other people. None of the people that have been mentioned to us as being witnesses for this week have included Detective Lang or Detective Looper. This is new.
The
Tomorrow's not under subpoena.
The issue is Gigi Guarin.
The issue is fairness, I think. But as far as Gigi Guarin is concerned, we've never gotten an offer of proof from the defense. We don't know what she would testify to or not.
Well, Ms. Guarin has testified at other hearings. We know who she is. She's been the housekeeper of Mr. Simpson for a couple of years. There's a multiplicity of things that she can testify to. I mean, she's present in the household. Her presence or absence on June the 12th was one of the issues that's been brought up. Even the location of her bedroom and the proximity to the door in the back is an issue in the case. I mean, there's a jillion things she can tell us about.
That's right.
in half a jillion things she can tell us about that are inadmissible, irrelevant, prejudicial, and shouldn't be presented before this jury. And that's
Well-
why we'd like an offer of proof.
But there's a jillion things she can testify to that I can think of.
Well, there's a half a jillion. I agree. I don't disagree with the court on that, but
All
I'd
right.
like an offer of proof. I mean, just like Mr. Cochran's next to
All
last
right,
question to the last witness.
Well,
Clearly,
the only real issue is whether or not it's any surprise that she's coming, and it's not a surprise to me.
offer of proof if we can.
Hold on.
On the
I'm sorry,
question?
Mr. Cochran, I'm talking to Mr. Darden.
Okay. Are we going into the June 28th search warrant, for instance?
That's
I
what
mean-
she testified to.
That's what she testified to before?
No, I understand.
Okay.
I understand that.
It's not relevant. Are we going into that? Are we going into?
I don't think so. All right, Mr. Cochran?
Regarding June 28th? I think it's very relevant. Let me just indicate to the court why I think it's relevant. First of all, I've indicated sidebar, and I gave the court an offer of proof, which the court indicated was entirely appropriate. To expand upon that, in addition to the other items we've talked about, I think June 28th is also very relevant, Your Honor. She was present, if you recall, at this other hearing. And I think it's very relevant to this jury if on June 28th these police officers are sitting around Mr. Simpson's family room watching videos of Frogman, and they can't turn the TV off or adjust it afterwards. I think that's very relevant with regard to the attitudes they have in the case. And so, but as we've indicated with every witness, when there's any issue, when there's a question, we have, unlike the prosecution, approach the bench and ask the court when we get to that point. And that's all we do.
Is that what you did when you asked the question? Is that what he did when he asked the question about
No,
Detective
counsel, no, we're
Luper?
not going to go back and forth on this. No,
Okay.
I think Ms. Guarin, because of her position with Mr. Simpson's household, can offer relevant testimony as to a multiplicity of issues. It's not a surprise that she's coming. We'll pick her testimony, we'll start her testimony at 1 o'clock. As to June 28th, that's a different issue.
Before I get to that point, Your Honor, I'd like to coach, make an offer of proof.
That's a different
On the
issue.
record.
But there are a lot of things she can tell us about.
May I inquire the court, and I ask the court to assist us in asking Mr. Cochran, who will he be calling after
But what I just heard is Muldorfer, Looper, Harrow, and Lang. That's what I just heard.
Looper? Harrow is not, none of these people are under subpoena. Harrow's on vacation, okay?
All right, then I assume Muldorfer and Detective Lang.
Okay. Lang and Looper are not on their 3-day witness list, and we object to that, okay?
All right, well,
They're on the list, Mr. Douglas. Can you hear Mr. Douglas on the
No.
discovery?
no,
He'll tell me.
no. Detective Looper's name just came up. He'll be here to say, what was your instruction to Mr. Ford? Detective Lang could be called for any number of reasons. He was not released. He was subject to recall. All right, we'll stand in recess. Detective Lang can pop up at any point in time to clarify what goes on, since he's one of the investigating officers. All right, we'll stand in recess 1 o'clock. Court, with his counsel, people are represented, jury is not present. All right, counsel, anything we need to take up before we start with the next witness?
Scheduling for Dr.
Yes.
Readers?
I did review the reports, including all of the liquid chromatograph tracings from the FBI. I evaluated the literature that was there. It is a relatively complex issue. Dr. Readers is available, what, Monday?
Yes.
How long do you anticipate the direct examination for his testimony?
2 to 3 hours, maybe less. Same with Agent March.
All right, Ms. Clark?
Well, the problem is, Your Honor, that regardless of the length of the direct examination, it can be very brief and entirely misleading and confusing. I anticipate that it will be. And that means that the cross-examination will have to be extensive and detailed.
But don't we have a pretty fundamental difference in the types of results that the parts per million that you're likely to get in a reference sample is a gazillion parts per million, whereas these trace amounts are significantly less. I mean, isn't that something that's relatively simple to cross-examine on?
One would think, wouldn't one? I did too. When I first looked at it, and I spoke to Agent Martz about that, and I thought, show him the graph, just show him the chart. It should be really apparent. But from what I am told, there are a lot of machinations that can occur comparing relative quantities on different days, which should not be done, but which we know the defense intends to do. And we will have 402 motions on their charts, which are misleading and confusing, because what they will attempt to do is compare amounts that are quantified and amounts that are quantified on one day to amounts that are quantified on another day to show relative degrees that they will attempt to assert prove the presence of EDTA, not just the kind that may be present in all of us right now as we sit here at a low level, but the kind of amount that would be indicative of coming from the preservative too. And the problem that is engendered by that is that it's inappropriate to do so for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that on any given day that the column will register high or low, depending on how it's been used that particular day. Furthermore, the method of testing employed by Agent Martz was not meant to be for the purpose of precise quantification. So
Ms.
they're
Clark,
using...
let's assume that I agree with you that it is a complex scientific process. The question is, today is the 20th of July. Why can't you be ready by the 24th of July?
Because that gives me exactly a half day on Friday to prepare, and tonight.
Yeah, but professional attorneys are paid to work 24 hours a day when they're in trial.
And I would be glad to approach sidebar to explain to the court why the weekend is unavailable to me. But
Well, is there somebody else on your team who can do this?
no, Your Honor.
Why not? I mean,
Because
you
I-
have several lawyers who are very skilled, very knowledgeable.
At this point in time, I'm the one designated to do this. And I anticipated that we would have more time than this because it looked from the scheduling of things that he would be coming up at the very earliest, late next week, after Agent Marks testified. They have now completely rearranged the order, and not only that, but decided not to call Agent Martz until afterwards. Now, Agent Martz is available, he could testify today, but they refused to call him. That's their trial strategy, but it is when they use their trial strategy to deliberately prevent us from being prepared to cross-examine, that's another matter, and that's what they have done. And so perhaps, the defense is indicating that Dr. Reeders will not be available until August 2nd if he's not called to testify on Monday. And I don't see any problem with Dr. Reeders testifying on August 2nd. I don't see what the problem is.
No, I thought it was longer than that.
Longer than that.
When
Your
is
Honor,
it? When is it?
He's leaving the 30th to go to Vienna, I think, for a week. Now, the prosecution was advised last Saturday that we were calling Martz and Reeders this week. I can't believe that Ms. Clark says she's ready for Martz, but she's not ready for Reeders.
Oh, come on. I think
Ludicrous.
that's so obvious, it doesn't even bear addressing. You know, Agent Martz is going to be an honest witness who's going to testify truthfully to the results.
Counsel,
That's a little easier.
Ms. Clark, earlier today, I cautioned you about the personal attacks.
Okay, I'm sorry, Your
I
Honor.
warned you already, sanction is $250. Don't leave court without writing a check.
Your Honor, Dr. Reeders would be available then, I take it, on the 7th of August. Is that correct?
I don't know what his plans are for coming back from Vienna. We anticipate being done by the 7th of August. I want to call him Monday because of his health.
All right, counsel, approach with the court reporter, please. right, thank you, counsel. All right, Mr. Cochran, are you prepared to call the defense next witness?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
All right, let's have the jury, please. All right. All right, Mr. Cochran, you may call your next witness.
Thank you very, very kindly, Your Honor. We'll next call Miss Josephine Gigi Guarin, Your Honor. Ms. Guarin? Ms. Guarin?
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the trial county before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your first and last names for the record.
My name is Josephine, Josephine, Guarin, Guarin.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Guarin, are you nervous?
Yes, I am.
Is this the second time you've ever had to testify in your life?
Actually, this is my third time I appear before on the grand jury.
All right. But this is the third time in connection with this case?
Yes.
All right. And you're a little bit nervous, are you?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, just relax. Okay. And kind of sit back, and if you can pull the microphone a little closer and speak right into that for us, will you? All right. Now, Ms. Guarin, how are you employed presently?
I was Mr. Simpson housekeeper.
And Mr. Simpson, you're speaking of the gentleman over here to my far left, Mr.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson?
Yes, he is.
And approximately when did you start to work for Mr. O.J. Simpson, ma'am?
April of 1994.
And you succeeded another housekeeper at the time you came in, did you?
Yes, I did.
All right. And were you working full-time from April of 1994?
Yes,
on?
I do.
And are you still employed at the Rockingham residence now?
Yes, I do.
Now, during the time that, let's talk about the period of April of 1994 to June of 1994. Did you work on a full-time basis for Mr. Simpson during that time?
Yes, I am.
And what was your regular work schedule during that period of time, Ms. Guarin?
I work Monday to Friday.
All right. And would you normally have weekends off?
Yes, I do.
All right. Now, during that period of time, was Mr. Simpson always at home during that period of time, or would he be out of town a lot?
He is out of town a lot of time. The whole month of April, he is out of town.
All right. So when you first started working for him, he was out of town pretty much that entire month?
Yes.
And do you know, Ms. Guarin, where he was during that time frame?
He is in Puerto Rico.
Well, Lay Foundation.
All right. What's
All right.
that?
You became aware that Mr. Simpson was out of town or out of the country during the month of April?
Yes, he is.
And how did you were aware of what he was doing while he was out of town?
Yes, he is.
And what was he doing?
He's filming.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Who's handling the witness here? Sustained.
Thank you. Before Mr. Simpson left in April of 1994, did you have some conversation with him about where he was going?
Yes, I have.
And when he was out of town, he would let you know where he was going to be, is that correct?
Yes, he will call me where he is.
And on occasion during the month of April, did Mr. Simpson call you from some location?
Yes, he is.
And when he called you during this period of time, did you ascertain during the course of these phone conversations where he was? You can answer that yes or no.
Yes.
And when he called, have you ever received phone calls from like overseas or from a long distance before?
Oh, Counsel, let me see you both at the sidebar without the court reporter.
Thank you.
Please.
So where was Mr. Simpson during much of the month of April of 1994?
He is in Puerto Rico.
And was he shooting a movie at that time?
Yes, he is.
All right. So do your contact with Mr. Simpson during the month of April while he was out of the country would be how? How would you talk to him during that time frame?
He will call me from time to time to check how I'm doing.
All right. So you would talk on the telephone, is that
Yes,
correct?
here.
All right. Now, what about now during the month of May of 1994? How was Mr. Simpson's schedule during the month of May of 1994, Ms. Guarin?
He's in and out.
All right. And when you say in and out, what does that mean?
He's out of town or he's in town. He's doing a video or the fragment, the movie.
All right. The same movie that he'd been shooting in Puerto Rico, was that some of that shot in the United States also?
Yes.
And did the shooting continue in the month of May of 1994?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Got to answer that, yes?
I'm sorry.
And were you aware that he also was involved in some kind of a video, exercise video during the month of May of 1994?
Yes.
All right, and during those periods of time, would there be nights when Mr. Simpson was not at home?
Yes.
All right. Did he travel quite a bit during that time frame we're talking about?
Yes.
Now, do you recall a time during the month of May of 1994 when Mr. Simpson had occasion to go to Palm Springs?
He go to Palm Spring on Memorial Weekend.
And do you recall with whom did he go to Palm Springs on Memorial Weekend, if you know?
With Miss Paula Barbieri.
With Paula Barbieri?
Yes.
All right. And prior to that, when you first started working for Mr. Simpson in April, first part of April of 1994, did you have occasion to meet Mrs. Nicole Brown Simpson?
Yes, I do.
And was there a period of time that the two of them were together?
Yes.
And did you see them together?
Yes.
And where did you see them together during this time in April of 1994?
In Rockingham residence.
All right. Would you see them at any other location?
No.
Now, with regard to that, did you continue to see them together during part of the month of May of 1994?
Around first week of March, first week of May.
All right, and they continued to be together during that time frame?
Yes.
Did there come a time when they were no longer together during the month of May of 1994?
Oral.
You can answer that.
Can you repeat the question,
Certainly,
please?
I'm glad to. Did there come a time when you didn't see Mr. Simpson in the company of Mrs. Nicole Brown Simpson sometime during the month of May of 1994?
I didn't see her l- like after Mother's Day, something like that.
Sometime after Mother's Day of 1994?
Yes.
And was it after that that you then saw Mr. Simpson with Miss Paula Barbieri?
Yes, I do.
During the time that you saw Mr. Nicole Brown Simpson with Mr. Simpson, did you see Paula Barbieri with him during that same time frame?
No.
All right. You saw her after they were no longer seeing each other, is that right?
Yes.
It is allowed to stand, though. Move along.
Thank you, Evan. Now, we talked about April and May and Mr. Simpson's travel schedule. Were you aware of whether or not during the month of June, whether or not he left town during any portion of that time?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. We've talked about Mr. Simpson traveling during the month of April, traveling during the month of May. Now, I wanted to ask you at least about the first part of June. Are you aware of whether or not Mr. Simpson had occasion to leave town during the month of June?
Yes.
All right. Do you know where he went?
I know he went to New York, to Virginia, and I don't know where. And I know that he's going to Chicago on that Sunday. I think that's June the 12th.
All right. How did you know he was going to go to Chicago on Sunday, June 12th, ma'am?
Because I need to make my schedule with his schedule, because I need to be at the house whenever he is out of town at nighttime.
All right. So that would you adjust your schedule around Mr. Simpson's travel schedule?
Yes, I do.
And was that one of the reasons why you knew generally when he was leaving town, when he'd come back, when he was leaving? Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And with that, would his travel schedule affect your duties around the Rockingham residence?
Sometimes.
All right. And would you adjust your travel schedule to accommodate times when Mr. Simpson was going to be away out
Yes.
of town?
I need to make my schedule with his schedule so that there is no conflict on our schedule.
So you try to work it out, is that
Yes.
correct? All right. Now, with regard to Mr. Simpson, let's go back to the months of April and part of May of 1994, certainly in late April and early May. Are you aware of whether or not Mr. Simpson spent any nights away from home over at the home of Miss Nicole Brown Simpson? Objection, no. So I'm asking yes or no. Yes or no for that question. Foundation.
Right.
You can answer the question.
Yes, I do.
And
Foundation.
foundational, yes, Your Honor. And would you explain to the court and to the jury what would happen? How would you have contact with Mr. Simpson when he was away at night?
Yes, I do.
And would you describe for us in your own words what would happen? How would you have contact with Mr. Simpson in the evening? We're talking about the month of May and the month of April and early May.
Okay. There are some phone calls that coming from Rockingham, and if there is important, I need to call to relay the information to Mr. Simpson. So I will call Miss Simpson house, Nicole, and give the message to her. And so sometimes I'll talk to Mr. Simpson there.
So would there be occasions when you would get messages from Mr. Simpson and you would then have to call him over at Nicole Brown Simpson's house?
Yes.
And when you did that, occasions that you talked to Mr. Simpson late in the evening and late at night?
Yes.
And in discussing with him where he'd be that night, have you had occasion, you became aware that he was spending the night over at her house?
Sustained.
Well, when you would call him, when you would call Mr. Simpson, and late at night, would you find him at some particular location?
I will call Miss Simpson's residence. If Mr. Simpson is not there, I will ask her where she is, where he is.
Okay. And on occasion when you would call there, would Mr. Simpson be there?
Yes, he is.
And when he was there, you talked to him on the phone?
Yes.
If he wasn't there, would you leave a message for him? Well, what would you do if he, let me phrase you. You can answer that then.
I'll leave the message to her, or I will tell her to please call me at the Rockingham address.
And on occasion thereafter, if you left a message for him, would you get calls back from Mr. Simpson?
Yes.
He would then call back?
Yes, he will.
And when he called back, did he say where he was sometimes?
Yes.
And would he indicate that on occasion he was calling for Miss Nicole Brown?
Sustained.
All right. Now, during the time that you've worked for Mr. Simpson, you've had occasion to go into his closet, have you not, and see his clothes closet?
That's part of my job.
And could you describe for us Mr. Simpson's habits regarding his clothes? Can you tell this court and jury something about that, please?
He wants everything in order, and he is neat in putting up everything in place so that he knows where to get it when he needs it.
All right, he was neat in putting everything in place?
Yes.
And with regard to, let's say that, are you aware that Mr. Simpson played golf?
Yes, I do.
And when he would come back home from playing golf, would he sometimes have some arrangement with you about the clothes that he played in and played golf in?
Yes.
Could you describe that for the court and jury, please?
He wear the clothes that he used to wear from playing golf. He will put it on the chair inside his closet. It means it needs to be washed.
All right, and how would he fix those clothes, the clothes that were presumably dirty
It will
clothes?
be arranged on the top of the chair nicely, sometimes folded nicely or hanging there nicely.
And you knew that when you saw these clothes either folded or hanging nicely. What did you take that to mean?
It means that I need to check if I need to wash them, or check I need to wash them, or put it back on the things on the hanger on the closet.
All right. Now, as you took care of Mr. Simpson in the house, did you ever see him leave clothes all strewn around the floor or around his bed or things of that nature?
Never. I never see him do that.
You mentioned that in his closet. With regard to his clothes, you know what color coordinated means? You know what color coordinated means?
Yes.
All right. Can you tell us and describe for us how his clothes were arranged in his closet?
He wants everything. All the whites will be together. All the white clothes will be together, the same color, on the same. They're all together at the same line, and all the gold pants are all together, and the denims are all together.
What about his shoes? Did he have any particular arrangements for his shoes in his closet?
All the shoes that he usually wear, it's on the floor under the under his closet where his pants hang on, and also on the there's a shelf on the top of the closet. There's that he can put his shoes there.
How would you describe his closet? How did it seem?
It's big.
All right, in addition to being big, how did the clothes appear as they were in that closet?
Everything is arranged properly, and he wants it the way it is. Folded nicely. The clothes are on the same place that he wants to see it.
All right, what about when he would take off clothes? And would he have a habit of taking off clothes and just leave them off the hangers while you were there?
When he wear clothes and he doesn't like it, he will put it back on the hanger and put it on the same place where he got it.
So he wouldn't leave clothes laying around, is that correct?
No.
Now, during this time frame, you've described for the court and jury that Mr. Simpson was traveling a lot, and I presume on occasion he would leave from the Rockingham residence, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you ever been around when Mr. Simpson was leaving to go on a trip?
Yes.
Can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury how Mr. Simpson would, what you observed as he would leave to go on trips?
He's always rushing.
And describe that for us. What would he be doing?
He's always, the limo is already there, the one who will pick him up. It's still going to keep for a long time because he just going to start putting all her things together on the last minute.
You've observed this yourself?
Yes, I do. Sometimes I will help him packing all the things that he needs.
And waiting to the last minute, would that require him to do something? Was he rushing around?
He's rushing around, doing everything on the last minute.
All right. Did you ever talk to him about that?
He is always late. I will tell him the Dale is here. He is already waiting outside. He said, "Tell him I will be there soon," but Dale was going to wait for a long time before he will come down.
All right. And when you say Dale, are you referring to a limousine driver
Yes.
by the name of Dale St. John?
I know his name is Dale. I don't know his last name.
All right. So this particular habit of Mr. Simpson, would he always be running late?
Yes.
Proceed.
Did you withdraw that? Did you answer?
Can you repeat the question,
Sorry.
please?
Okay. Would Mr. Simpson always be running late on these trips?
Yes, always.
The limousine driver would have to wait for him?
Yes.
Now, at times when Mr. Simpson, when he was running late, would his habit for picking up his clothes change at all, or would it remain the same? Can you describe
Remain
that
the
for the jury?
Remain the same. He will, after he put everything on his suitcase, he will make it sure that everything is in proper place, that he never leave anything out.
That's just a second, Your
Sure.
I'm not sure these photographs are in evidence, Your Honor. So just in case, I'll show them to counsel. We've all seen them. And I'd like to mark, this may be one of the exhibits, but I'll, in abundance of precaution, I'll mark this as a defense exhibit if I might.
1256.
1256, I've shown it to counsel. I put a 1256 in the back. Go ahead, and I'd like to approach the witness, Your Honor.
You may.
Counsel has now seen this. I want to show you what has now been marked as exhibit 1256, Ms. Guarin. Will you take a look at that photograph, please? And I'll ask you some questions after you've seen it.
Appears to be identical. What was it, 167?
It may be, Your Honor. We've now looked at this.
Yes.
May I proceed, John?
You may.
With regard to this particular photograph, do you recognize the room depicted in this photograph?
Yes, it is.
And what room, whose room is this?
That's Mr. Simpson's room.
All right, and that's the room that you worked in during this time frame we've been talking about?
Yes.
If I were to put this on the Elmo, I want to ask you some questions about it.
Mrs. Robertson?
Now, you can look down at the monitor there. With regard to that photograph that's now on the Elmo, at any time during the time you worked for Mr. Simpson, have you ever seen him leave any socks on the rug or on that carpet in his room at any time, out like that?
No.
There appear to be some kind of straps on his bed or across the bed. At any time, have you ever, at any time, ever seen Mr. Simpson leave any straps or anything like that on his bed in that fashion?
No.
Now, during the time that you worked for Mr. Simpson as his housekeeper, did he have and use a cellular telephone on occasion?
Yes. Yes.
All right. And other than the cellular telephone, was there a cordless telephone at all in that house at all?
No.
Have you on occasion seen Mr. Simpson use the cellular telephone?
Yes.
Will you describe for the court and jury where and at what places would you see him use or talk on the cellular telephone?
Around the pool area and around the front yard.
All right. And did you ever see him use the cellular phone inside the house?
No.
And you had other telephones inside the house?
Yes.
Now, this cellular phone that Mr. Simpson would use around the pool area or the front part of the house, was that cellular phone capable of being put in either one of his cars?
Yes.
And have you had occasion to see that same cellular phone inside of his Bronco?
Yes.
And you could then remove it from the Bronco?
He will move it to the Bentley.
Now, you've seen the Bronco before, have you not?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Did you ever drive the Bronco yourself?
Yes.
You've driven it yourself on occasion?
Yes.
Now, with regard to the Bronco, can you describe for the court and jury on what streets, if any, the Bronco would normally be parked?
It will park on Ashford, sometimes in Rockingham.
All right. Those are the things that you observed yourself, is that correct?
Yes, I.
Now, did you have occasion to speak with Mr. O.J. Simpson on the evening hours of June 12th of 1994?
Yes, I do.
And would you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what time did you have occasion to speak with Mr. Simpson on that Sunday evening?
I called him from Knott'sberry Farm around 8 o'clock that Sunday night.
All right. You were at Knott's Berry Farm?
Yes, I do.
And who were you at Knott's Berry Farm with?
With my family.
And you were having a nice time, I presume?
Yes.
All right. And in that connection, you called Mr. Simpson?
Yes, I do.
At the time you called Mr. Simpson, did you know whether or not he would be leaving town that night?
I know he is leaving town that night.
And there'd been some prearrangement regarding his schedule?
Yes.
All right. Did you make some request of Mr. Simpson when you called at about 8 o'clock on June 12th, 1994? He answered yes or no.
Yes, I do.
You called him, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
All right. And what did you ask Mr. Your Honor, may we approach on this limited portion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you very kindly, Your Honor. Now,
Oh, I'm sorry, we got everybody? Yes. Okay. Proceed.
thank you, Your Honor. Now, I think I was asking you about this conversation with Mr. Simpson on June 12th of 1994. And you described for us, as I recall, that you called him about 8 o'clock in the evening. Is that correct?
Yes,
And
I
did you
do.
request of Mr. Simpson at that time permission to remain at Knott's Berry Farm?
Overruled.
Did you?
I'm sorry?
I'll rephrase it, Your Honor.
Rephrase it.
Did you obtain permission from Mr. Simpson to stay with your family at Knott's Berry Farm and have a good time on the evening of June 12, 1994, after 8 o'clock?
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
And was that your request?
Yes,
Okay.
it's my request.
He didn't call you, you called him, right?
I call him from Knott's Berry Farm.
Now, and you did not talk with Mr. Simpson after you got permission to stay at Knott's Berry Farm. You didn't talk with Mr. Simpson anymore that particular evening, did you?
No, I did not.
And when did you next come back to work at Rockingham?
I came back Monday morning.
All right. So you were not home, or not at Rockingham at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight on June 12th. Is that right?
No, I'm not.
And part of that time, you were still out at Knott's Berry Farm having a nice time with your family, right?
Yes, I do.
Now, when you spoke with Mr. Simpson at about 8 o'clock on June 12th of 1994, can you describe for the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and the court how Mr. Simpson's voice seemed, how he appeared at that time?
It's the same thing. It's the same OJ that I used to talk to. He's the same person. Every time I talk to him, it's the same mood, the same everything.
All right. Did he sound like he was acting to you?
No,
Overruled.
no.
Did the answer get in here?
Yes, it did.
You say he sounded like the same OJ?
Yes, the same OJ.
And that's what you referred to as OJ?
Yes. Yes.
All right. And when you said the same OJ, what do you mean by that?
He's the same, same joyful, you can easy to talk to. You can say anything that you want to say to her, to him. The same person that I always talk to. There's no difference at all.
Thank you very much for coming today.
Mr. Darden? Certainly. I'm gonna take a recess for just a minute. I've got a piece of equipment down here that's driving me nuts. Yeah. All right, folks, let me ask you just to step back into the jury room, and one of our electronic pieces down here is buzzing on me. Sure, and we'll call you back out as soon as I can take care of this problem. Ms. Guarin, you can step down, however, don't go anywhere, okay? All right, the records reflect we've been rejoined by all the members of our jury panel, and Mr. Cochran, you have a few concluding questions?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Thank you very much. Ms. Guarin, just a couple other questions. Again, during the time frame that you worked for Mr. Simpson at the home, can you describe for the court and jury the time on the evenings that Mr. Simpson would be home that he would normally go to bed at night?
Overruled.
Usually on his room around 9 o'clock or earlier at night.
All right, 9 o'clock p.m. or earlier?
Yes.
And what time would he normally get up in the morning?
I usually get up at 7.
All right, what about on days when he's going to play golf?
Usually when I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, he's not there anymore. He's playing golf already.
So when you would wake up at 7, he'd already be gone?
Yes, he is.
And you became aware afterwards that he had played golf and had left early that morning?
Yes.
So he'd be early to bed and early to rise?
Yes.
Now, with regard to Mr. Simpson, did you ever see any pills around your house called Juice Plus pills?
There is some.
You saw those at the house?
Yes.
And did you ever make any special kind of drinks for Mr. Simpson?
Yes, I do.
What kind of drinks would you make?
It's a carrot and celery juice.
And how often would you make carrot and celery juice for him?
every day.
Would he drink it?
Yes.
You know why he was drinking carrot and celery juice? Well,
Overruled, but I need a foundation here.
all right. You, when you first came and started working for Mr. Simpson, you have any instructions on making this celery and carrot juice?
He,
Overruled. Did you receive instructions on how to make it?
yes, I do.
And from whom did you get that?
From Michelle.
And that was the previous housekeeper
Yes.
who was there before you came?
Yes.
And then you learned how to make, did you make this in a blender?
On a juice extractor.
A juice extractor?
Uh-huh.
All right. And then he would drink it every day?
Yes.
How much would he drink?
A glass of carrots and celery juice.
Okay. How big? Hold the glass up. Show us how big the glass was for the judge.
Like the beer mugs, cup, something like that.
Like the size of a beer mug cup?
Yes.
All right. And you'd make that every day?
Yes.
And do you know why he was taking that carrot and celery juice?
Speculation? Sustained. Foundation.
Yes,
I don't know the
I
juice.
understand. I understand you.
Okay.
I'm with you. Did you ever have any conversation with Mr. Simpson as to why he would drink this carrot and celery juice? You can answer that yes or no.
Yes.
All right. And were you aware of whether or not Mr. Simpson suffered with any kind of condition, physical condition?
I know he has an arthritis.
Arthritis?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
The way he walks sometimes.
And you could see that?
Yes. The way he walks.
All
I
right.
can say it.
And was the taking of the carrot and celery juice in any way related to this condition of arthritis?
Same objection.
Sustained.
If you know.
Sustained.
All right. Do you know why he drinks carrot and celery juice?
Objection, ask the answer.
Sustained.
Very well. I have nothing further this one. Thank you.
Mr. Darden?
Well, afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We met before.
Yes, we do.
You and I, we met in the grand jury.
Yes.
And that was the first conversation we ever had,
Yes.
and we haven't had one since.
No.
And you are, what is your position in the Simpson household?
I'm Mr. Simpson, housekeeper.
Okay. And you became his housekeeper in April of 1994?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall the date?
Maybe second week, around April 10th, something like that.
Okay. Something around the second week of April?
Yes.
Okay. And the murders
But,
were...
but prior to that, I work like on Monday, just to start if I will, just a trainee, if I will like the job or not.
Okay. All right. So after you began as the housekeeper in around April 10 or in mid-April, the defendant left and he went to Puerto Rico, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay. He left right after you were hired as the housekeeper?
Yes.
Okay. And then he was he back in May?
I think he's back April, the last day of April.
Okay. And after he returned, he stayed home for a day or so?
Yes.
Okay. And then he was back on the road, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, going to many different cities to play in golf tournaments and other types of appearances?
Yes.
Okay. And so is it fair to say that he was gone most of the time?
Yes, he is.
Okay. So you really get to see very little of Mr. Simpson, or you did, right?
I'll see him from every time that he's in town,
Okay. But he was out of town most of the time?
mostly.
Okay. And so during that time period between mid-April and June 12th, you really didn't see a whole lot of the defendant, did you?
When he's at home, I will see him.
Okay. Well, how many?
But he's in May. He is in and out of, the house.
Okay. Now, you told us that normally you would have to be at the house anytime the defendant was out of town. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If he spent the night out of town, you were supposed to be at 360 Rockingham, correct?
I don't need to be there at the daytime. I need to be there at the nighttime. He just wants somebody at nighttime in his house.
Okay. Well, on the night of June 12th leading to June 13th, you called the defendant, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you knew he had to catch a red-eye flight to Chicago?
I know that he's leaving town that night.
Okay. And you knew you were supposed to be there that night, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And the defendant told you you didn't have to go there, right?
No,
Full roll.
no,
Well, you didn't go to Rockingham that night, did you?
I did not.
Okay. And the defendant was your employer, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay. And had he insisted that you go there, you would have gone, right?
Sustained. Sustained. Calls for speculation.
Okay. Well, you asked permission.
Yes,
From-
I did.
Okay. You asked permission to stay out at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yes, I did.
Did you ask permission to stay out there all night?
I asked,
Is that yes or no?
But you can't answer the question.
I asked Mr. Simpson if I can watch the show with my family that night and come back the next day in the morning. And he said yes.
Now, you arrived at Rockingham the next morning, is that right?
Yes, I did.
And you arrived there at about 10 o'clock in the morning?
Somewhere 9 to 10, around that area.
Okay. And you were interviewed by a police officer, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You were interviewed by a female police officer?
A female police officer and a man police officer.
Okay. And you told that police officer that you had talked to the defendant the night before at 8 o'clock, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And you told that police officer that the defendant told you not to...
Yes.
Well, I'm not reading from a report, Your Honor.
Is there a report regarding this?
There's an FI card which Mr. Cochran has had for 11 months.
Do you have the F? All right, will you show Mr. Cochran the FI card, please?
And you told that police officer that...
Maybe, hold on just a minute, like,
Yes. All right, proceed.
And you told that police officer that the defendant had told you that you didn't have to come back that night, correct?
I told the police officer that I talked to Mr. Simpson that night and I asked him permission if I can stay out and come back that morning.
Okay. That's what you told the police officer?
Yes, I did.
Have you seen a small card called an FI card, a field identification card?
Sustained. Sustained. Rephrase the question.
Okay. I'm asking the witness if she has seen the card, Your Honor.
Right.
You know Mr. Cochran, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You've been interviewed by Mr. Cochran, haven't you?
Yes, I do.
Let me show you. A card, a field identification card. What is people's next in order, Your Honor?
I'm sorry? 534.
I'm sorry?
534.
Now, let me show you what has been marked People's 534. I ask you to take a moment and read it to yourself and read both sides, please.
Right, Mr. Guarin, have you read the other side? The other side?
It's only my address.
Okay.
It's nothing.
Mr. Darden.
Okay. Now, did Mr. Cochran show you a Xerox copy of that card?
No, she
No one
didn't.
has ever showed you a Xerox copy of that
No.
card? Do you know what that card is?
No, this is the first time that I saw this card.
Well, when you were speaking to the police officer, did you notice that the police officer was writing?
Yes, She just asked my name and took the plate number of my car.
Is that all
and, and she asked me, and I asked her if I can get in the house. And she told me, no.
Okay, let me stop you there. She only asked you your name, is that right?
Yes, where do I live, my address, and she write the plate number of my car.
Okay. Now, what you're doing right now is you're looking at that card, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and by looking at that card, it's helping you to recall all the things that she asked you, correct?
Yes, my phone number.
Okay, and does this card have your phone number on it?
Yes, it is.
Does it have your weight and your height on it?
Yes, it is.
Does it have your birth date on it?
Yes,
Does it have your place of birth on it?
yes,
Does it have your California driver's license number on it?
yes.
And did you show her your driver's license?
I don't recall that I saw it.
Okay.
Maybe I did.
Okay, well, looking at the driver's license number on it in the upper left-hand corner, is that the driver's license number?
Yes.
And does it also indicate what you wore that day?
Yes.
And does it indicate that you have a nickname of Gigi?
Yes, that's how they call me.
Okay, and this is all information that the officer obtained, well, most of that information was obtained from you, right?
Yes.
This is what you told the officer.
Yes.
And on the back of the card, it also has a description of what you told her regarding your conversation with the defendant, right?
Yes.
Doesn't mention anything about Knott's Berry Farm, does it?
Sustained. Further question.
Mrs. Cross, does the card mention anything about Knott's Berry Farm?
No.
Okay. But all the other information on this card is accurate, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Overall. It is, actually. Would you re-ask that question, please?
Well, is all the other information on this card consistent with what you told the officer?
I told the officer that
May I have a yes or no answer to that?
Right. Was it consistent?
the information about myself is consistent.
Yes, thank you. Next question.
Okay. Now, the card also indicates that the time in which you spoke to the officer was 1000 hours. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay. 10 o'clock in the morning?
might be.
Okay. You didn't tell the officer anything about Knott's Berry Farm, did you?
Overall,
She did not ask me.
So you didn't tell her?
Yeah, because she did not ask me.
Okay. So the first time you told anything about Knott's Berry Farm was when you told Mr. Cochran?
No.
Now, who did you tell first?
About Knott's Berry Farm? Nobody asked me about Knott's Berry Farm. They just asked me if I talked to Mr. Simpson that night. And I told them that I called him from Knott's Berry Farm.
You told the police officer that?
I did not tell the police officer because they did not ask me. They just asked me, when was the last time you talked to Mr. Simpson? I told them around 8 o'clock that night. They did not ask me where I am.
Now, you are, you take care of Mr. Simpson's clothing, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And during the month of June 1994, he owned sweat clothes, didn't he?
Sweat clothes?
Yeah, like sweatpants and sweatshirts.
I don't recall that. Yes, all the things that I prepare for him is golf pants that he usually wear and denims.
Okay. Well, it's your job to make sure that all the clothes are lined up in the closet by color, right?
Yes,
To make sure everything in that closet is neat, correct?
yes,
To make sure all of his clothing is clean, right?
yes,
You do all the washing, correct?
yes.
And you
Not
co-
all of it, because some of his clothes need to bring to the cleaner. So some of his clothes need to bring to the cleaner, not all of his clothes.
Okay,
I
well, with the
wash.
exception of the clothes that have to go to the cleaners, you wash those other clothes, right?
Yes, I do.
And you're telling us you don't know whether or not he owned black sweatpants?
I did not see any black pants there.
You've never seen any black
No.
sweatpants? Never, ever?
Never.
Have you ever seen the defendant wearing black sweats in any video?
No. I never watched the video, only the fragment video that I watch.
Well, if the defendant owned black or cotton, strike that. If the defendant owned black sweatpants, you would know about it, wouldn't you?
I did not see him wearing that black sweatpants, so I cannot say that I saw him, so I don't.
Well, did you ever see any in the closet?
I didn't see it.
Oral.
I didn't see anything on his closet.
Okay. So you don't know whether he owns any or not?
Oral.
Do you know whether or not the defendant owns?
I don't recall if he has some or not.
He might have some.
I don't know.
Sustained. Sustained, but the answer will stand, I don't know. The answer was I don't know, so the answer is
Now, you still work at 360 North Rockingham?
Yes, I do.
You still work for the defendant?
Yes, I do.
And his family is staying there now?
Yes.
Okay. You watch the trial on television sometimes?
I only watch the trial when his family is on the
Okay. Witness stand?
witness stand.
Okay. And have you spoken to any member of his family about your testimony?
No.
Now, you saw a photograph, People's 167, a few minutes ago. Do you remember that photograph?
Yes, I do.
You saw straps on the bed?
There's something on the bed.
Okay. Did you notice what was on the bed?
Can I see it, please?
Mr. Robertson.
I have a copy of 167. Can I approach?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Those are straps, right, on the bed? Suspenders?
I don't know if this is a suspender or strap from the bag. It look like. You cannot say if this is a suspender or a strap from a bag
Okay, so
because there is some wordings that you can read, it's like Louis Vuitton, something like that.
okay, well, how many different straps or suspenders or straps on the bag do you see on the bed?
This is, I think, one. It look like only one.
Okay, well, do you see something that's brown and something else that's black?
I think, yeah, there's like a black something. I don't know.
Okay. Now, Mr. Simpson wears suspenders with his tuxedo, doesn't he?
I don't know.
He owns suspenders, doesn't he?
I usually only see the belt, but I did not see him wearing a suspender.
Okay. You don't know whether he owns a pair of suspenders or not?
Overruled.
Is that correct?
Can you repeat the question,
You don't
please?
know whether or not he owns a pair of suspenders?
I didn't see some of it on his closet, so I don't know if he owns some.
Are you aware that the defendant wore a tuxedo to an event that Saturday night?
I'm not there, so I cannot say that he's wearing a tuxedo or not.
Okay, and you've told us that it would be unusual for the defendant to leave any of his clothing out. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
he put everything back where he got it.
Okay, so if he left his suspenders out from Saturday night, that would be unusual, wouldn't it?
Sustained. Sustained.
When was the last time prior to June 12 that you cleaned the house?
Almost every day.
From top
Friday,
To, clean the house Friday?
yes.
You clean every room in the house Friday?
I have a sequence of cleaning the house. One day I will clean the family room, portion of the house, portion by portion, because I cannot do everything on one day. So there's a day that I will do sequence things so that I know everything is clean.
Okay. And Mr. Simpson's a very meticulous man, isn't he?
Yes, but on his bedroom, I need to do it every day when he is in town.
Okay. All right. And so, can I have one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
So do you also clean his bathroom every day?
Yes,
Okay.
when he is in town, I need to do it every day.
And you clean that on Friday, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
And so had there been blood on the floor of the defendant's bathroom that Friday, you would have cleaned that up, correct?
I usually clean his bathroom, so I will clean it.
Okay. You wouldn't leave blood stains on the bathroom floor, would you?
I never see blood stains, so I don't know how to answer that question because I always clean the bathroom.
There were no blood stains on the floor when you left that Friday. Is that correct?
Sustained is vague. Vague as to location.
I'm sorry?
Vague as to location.
Okay. There were no blood stains on the bathroom floor when you left that Friday. Is that correct?
Overruled.
Yes, there's
What time did you leave the house on Friday?
approximately 9:30 or 10 that night.
9:30 or 10 that night?
Yes,
And was the defendant at home when you left?
yes, he is.
Okay. And did you return to the house Saturday?
No, I did not.
Did you return to the house on Sunday?
No, I did not.
So if there was blood on the master bathroom floor on Monday morning, you can't tell us how that blood got there, correct? Monday?
Monday morning. Monday morning. Overruled.
Can you read
Okay.
the question, please?
Okay. You can't tell us how the blood that was discovered Monday morning was found there, is that correct? This is item 14, Your Honor.
Proceed.
You can't tell us how the blood that was found on that bathroom floor on Monday morning got there, can you?
No, I did not.
You weren't bleeding, were you?
I'm not.
You weren't bleeding that Friday, correct?
No, I'm not.
Now, prior to leaving, we'll strike that. Is there some reason that you leave so late or left so late that Friday night?
Because Mr. Simpson that Friday just got back from a trip. That Friday. So I need to prepare dinner for him before I will leave and leave the house clean before I go to take my day off because,
Okay. So you'd make sure everything was clean.
yes,
You make sure all the laundry was done and folded.
yes,
You wouldn't leave for the weekend and leave wet laundry in the washing machine, would you?
no, I will not.
Let me show you a video, just a small portion.
Which exhibit are we talking about, Counsel?
A small portion of 1068, Your Honor. Of the laundry, of the washing machine scene. Same video we've been looking at all day.
Mr. Wooden, do you have that queued up? All right. All right, this is part of Mr. Ford's videotape. All right, proceed.
Let me just show you a small portion of this video. Yes, please look at the monitor. This is 3:01 p.m. on the tape. Okay, stop there. Okay, you didn't leave that in the washing machine, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay. Did you notice what the clothing items were in there?
It's not here now, so
You want to see it again?
yes.
Okay. Inside and on the top.
Okay.
Okay. There's a pair of panties in there, is that right?
That basket that on the top of the laundry,
Yes.
that's belong to Arnell.
Okay.
Maybe Arnell did some laundry before after I left because that basket belonged to her. So maybe that's her clothes.
Okay. That basket wasn't there when you left?
No.
Okay. Good. Now, you told us that the defendant was always rushing around. Is that right?
Yes, he is.
And so, and you also told us that whenever he rushed around, he also put everything in place before leaving.
Yes.
So is it your testimony that he would risk missing an airplane to put his bedroom back in order?
He went.
Phrase the question.
Okay. Would the defendant risk missing a plane so that he could put his bedroom back in order?
Sustained. Phrase the question.
Okay. If you know, has the defendant ever missed an airplane because he was at home placing his bedroom back in order?
Overruled.
I don't know that he missed any airplane.
Can you take that off? And you told us how you cleaned the house on Friday. Let me ask you this. Had there been blood in the foyer? You know what you know where the foyer is in the?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Had there been blood there on the floor in the foyer, you'd have cleaned that up, correct?
Yes.
And you cleaned that area Friday, didn't you?
Prior to that, I did not clean it on Friday, but I cleaned the foyer area on that week.
Okay, and you didn't see any blood at that time, did you?
No, I did not.
Had there been blood there, you'd have cleaned that blood up, correct?
If there is, I will clean it, but I didn't see anything.
Okay. And you didn't see any blood when you left around 9 or 9:30 that Friday night, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, what's people's next in order?
535. 535.
I have a photograph, two photographs. I'd like to mark one 536 and one 535, and I will show these to Mr. Cochran. I don't want to approach you, Judge. I'm ready to go.
Are we asking to approach? All right. Why don't you show it to the witness first, see if you can lay a foundation for it.
Let me show you a photograph. It's been marked equals 536. It is a photograph depicting a photograph. Do you recognize the two people shown in the photograph?
Yes, I do.
Okay. One of those people is Nicole Brown,
Yes.
the defendant.
Yes.
And is that a, I'm sorry, man. Let's strike that. That's the photograph you've seen before?
I never see this photograph. I know.
You've never seen that photograph before?
Or will,
Well, whenever you would do cleaning, you would clean this entire room, correct?
Yes.
You'd clean up those things I have in my room called dust bunnies. You make sure there wasn't a lot of dust and stuff around.
it's not surprising, but it's irrelevant. Mr. Darden.
I'm a bachelor, Your Honor. You'd make sure that there were no, there wasn't an excessive amount of dust in the bedroom, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You look underneath the bed and make sure everything was clean, right?
Overruled.
Your Honor,
Proceed.
you clean underneath the bed, right?
I never clean underneath the bed. Never clean.
You never ever cleaned underneath the bed?
I'll just vacuum the side of the bed, but I will not look and clean what's under the bed.
You never look underneath the bed to see if the defendant's shoes were perhaps underneath the bed?
No, because I know his habit. He will put everything in place, and he never leaves his shoes or whatsoever under the bed.
Okay.
So
Well,
I will not look anything under the bed.
Do you recognize this photograph, 536, as showing a portion of the defendant's bed?
I did not. I don't know that picture. I didn't see it.
Okay. I'm talking about the bed part of it.
Yeah, I saw the bed.
All right. That's the defendant's bed.
Yes.
Okay. Can I show the picture?
Not at this point.
Well, during the times that you would vacuum around the edge of the bed, did you ever locate a picture of Nicole on
No.
the floor?
I did not.
Did you ever locate a picture of the defendant and Nicole on the floor around the bed?
No, I did not. I didn't see any
All right,
picture.
counsel, let me see you without the report.